Hey, I am Michelle L. Forbes, and you are tuned into My Story Talk Show. This is day number 3 of Mad March. Magnificent anecdotes filled with delightful messages that will bless you. And so, my anecdote today is entitled Be Sure Not to Lose Yourself. Quick story. Years ago, I worked at a school named Charlestown Secondary School on the island of Nevis. Yes. And I had the privilege of working with one of the teachers named Mr. Morton. We worked very closely. We were both computer teachers, and we had two labs adjacent to each other that we worked in. So there was a day when one of the classes, I don't even remember the class right now, that I had, they did something. I really have no recollection of what exactly they did right now. But whatever it was that they did or did not, because I really don't recall, I was reprimanding them. I was speaking very firmly to them. So I became the reprimanding teacher, speaking to them firmly and correcting them in whatever the issue was. Mr. Morton was on the other side of the computer lab, the adjacent one, and he came over to ask me something. And so while I was speaking seriously to the class, he came over and was like, "Hey, Morton, what's up?" And he began to crack up. He was like, he was like, "Miss Forbes, how do you do that? You're talking so firm to the students, and then you just turn to me and say, 'Hey, Martin, what's up? How may I help you?'" Yeah. Paul admonished us in the scriptures that we are to become all things to all men so that we can win some. In that story, those students needed Miss Forbes to become a reprimanding, first, firm teacher to line them back up in the right way that they ought to be. Mr. Morton, my coworker, we were cool. I had no issue with him. So I was just the cool, professional coworker to him that he deserves. The same Miss Forbes, to the students, I was one thing. To Mr. Morton, I was another. But this is Miss Forbes. In Paul's life, as he admonished us to become all things to all men, he not only admonished us, but he lived it himself. I'm going to share with you from just a few of the books that he wrote that communicate to us that he indeed, as he became all things to all men, he knew exactly who he was. The book of Romans, chapter 1. Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, called to be an apostle of Jesus Christ through the will of God. 2 Corinthians chapter 1. Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God. Galatians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by men, but by Jesus Christ. Ephesians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God. It is paramount that as we become all things to all men so that we might win some, it is paramount, it is key, it is important that we know who we are and never lose our knowing of that. As Paul became all things to all men, he knew exactly who he was. Paul, an apostle of Jesus Christ. So today, I want to encourage you to be resolute in that knowing of who you are, so that Let's say somebody walk up to you right now and said, who are you? What will your answer be? That's a question for us to think upon, mull upon as we go through this day. In line with our theme for the last 2 days about belief, for me, if you ask me who I am, one of my answers could be, I am a believer, and believing is what I do. So statements such as, I can't believe, like really, don't come from these mouths, because that would set precedence for when God speak a thing to me that is just out of this world. God, I can't believe that. No, 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 never from my lips. I am a believer, and believing is what I do. So I ask you again today. Let's say somebody walk up to you right now and ask you, who are you? What will your answer be? Yes, this is my story talk show. Thank you for tuning in with us today on our anecdote number 3. And here in my story talk show, we believe that your story could be that key that unlocks someone else's prison. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed and know that I love you. Have a great one.